When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Hi, I'm John Mallows, and welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Wednesday morning. It is 9/11/13, 12 years ago today. Where were you when the planes hit the World Trade Center? We have a special guest here in our studio today, a former New York City firefighter. You're welcome to call in. We're going to pay tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice. 436 MeTV. Don't wade through the message. Option 11. And of course, everybody around the country paying tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice on this day. It is 9/11, and 12 years ago was just a barbaric act on this country. The two Twin Towers, of course, in New York, the Pentagon, and of course that plane that went down in an open field in Pennsylvania. Decided not to show the planes going into the buildings on this day. I mean, why should we show that again and again and again? We've all seen the videotape. Obviously, these people that committed these acts are nothing less or nothing short of savages. Of course, where were you on 9/11 at 8:46 in the morning Eastern Time when the first plane hit Tower Number 1? Just a few minutes later at 9:06 Eastern Time, the second plane hit Tower Number 2. And many people thought at first, when the first plane hit, that it was an accident, that a plane maybe ran out of gas and ran into the Twin Towers, had nowhere to go. But as soon as we saw the second plane hit, many people thought to themselves, you know what? This is an act of war. We are under attack. And as soon as the Pentagon building was hit, and then that plane we heard went down in an open field, those passengers fighting off the terrorists in the cockpit, the plane going down in Pennsylvania, we knew something was certainly wrong, that we were under attack. And so we welcome your phone calls today because we have a special guest in the studio to talk about 9/11. Where were you when 9/11 hit? What do you remember about it? And what questions do you have now? Live in our studio right now is a very special guest, and I'm glad to have him here for the second year in a row. He is Andy Isolano. He is a former New York City firefighter, ladder number 108 in Brooklyn. He was there on 9/11, was a witness. He helped in the rescue efforts. He is now a prevention officer, fire prevention officer for the city of Clovis. 436 MeTV. Option 11, don't wade through the message. Where were you 12 years ago today when those towers came down? Back in just a moment.
Station 51. Station 51. Television is in dire need of help. Emergency. Paramedics John Gage and Roy DeSoto, please report to MeTV immediately.
LA, Squad 51.
Dr. Brackett and Nurse McCall are awaiting your arrival.
Please stay with me. Just this one thing. It's very important.
Emergency.
Man, I never thought anybody'd find me here.
Fire department, staff. What's the address?
On MeTV, weekdays at 5, 4 Central.
10-4. Unbelievable, 12 years ago today, and of course that was the president and the vice president and their families paying tribute to those who paid the ultimate sacrifice 12 years ago today. And I say once again, we will not show that video again. If you want to watch it, you know what, it's all over the internet, but we're not going to show it here again because, as I said earlier, the people who attacked us are nothing less, nothing short of savages. Would you agree, Andy?
Absolutely.
Andy Isolano, good to see you.
Nice
Former
to
New
see
York
you.
City firefighter, now work for the city of Clovis in the fire department. We had a phone call. We're sorry we weren't able to take it. We were in the videotape there. If you want to call back, you can call and ask Andy a question. Maybe want to reminisce as to where you were. We will take your phone call, but we were just in the middle of that videotape. 436 MeTV option 11. Remember, turn down the sound on your television set. And as we saw the tribute there, the memorial today at the White House, almost brought a tear to everybody's eye. Just, it's hard to watch, even the memorial service.
Yeah, absolutely. It just brings you right back, or brings me right back to that day, and it's tough. It's a tough day, but I'm quite happy to be here in Fresno, Clovis area. It's a good place for me, and the support that I get out here is amazing.
Andy, what kind of memories does this conjure up each year? 9/11 is going to come around every year until the day we all die. We're going to have that memorial, obviously. We will never forget. That's the slogan, that's the motto. What kind of images and thoughts go through your mind on a day like this?
Well, for me, it's right back to the day. I could picture myself being in the shower at the firehouse when they told me the first plane hit. I can picture myself back in the firehouse kitchen when the phone rang. They told us that Danny had been killed. The first guy killed from someone who had jumped out one of the windows in the towers. And
Now, when you say Danny, was he a fireman?
yeah.
He was. He jumped out of one of the towers.
No, he did not.
He did not.
He was hit by
killed.
someone who had jumped out.
He
like
was
the
hit.
upper story.
Okay,
Yeah.
he was hit by a body that came
Yes.
flying down
Yes.
out of the building. And what went through your mind then? What did you experience?
We couldn't believe it. You know, we hadn't experienced a direct fatality in my firehouse to this point in the 11 years I was there, and you know, to get a phone call that one of our guys was gone, it hits home. And then, fortunately for the rest of my company there, they left the scene with Danny to go to the hospital, so they weren't there when the towers came down. So they were saved basically by Danny's death.
Let's give him full tribute. His name was Danny.
Danny Sir.
Danny Sir. How old?
He was 35 at the time, and he was a great guy, football player. You know, played for the fire department football team. He owned a pizzeria with his wife Nancy. Just a fireman's fireman. The guys that were with him said they were walking up with the roll-ups on their shoulders, with the hose lines, you know, looking up and seeing all that fire, and he turned to them and said, "Guys, it's going to be the worst day of our lives." And they said the minute he said that, he got hit by the person. And there's photographs of the fire department chaplain being carried out. He was issuing last rites to Danny when he got killed in the exact same spot.
Yeah, by another body that came down out of the towers. Of course, as we all know, many of those people, you know, they had a terrible choice. They either would stay in the buildings and either die of smoke inhalation or be burned to death, or what's the other option?
Yeah, I can't imagine what conditions had to exist for people to consider that the better of the options.
Nor do we want to know.
No, I hope never ever finds out again. You know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and so how many times now have you been back to New York City? That obviously is your hometown.
Yeah, I lived there until I moved out here in '04, and I probably go back 2 to 3 times a year. This year has been a little different because I was back there for 6 weeks during Hurricane Sandy, so
Yeah,
to help out
that
with
was terrible too.
Yeah,
yeah,
it
no
was a
doubt
rough
about it.
time.
Of course, it was Mother Nature wreaking havoc in that situation. Got a phone call here. Good morning. You're on with Andy Isolano. Your question today on Connect with Me.
Well, first of all, I know that he moved here to Fresno, Clovis area. Welcome him here. I know it's been hard for him and all his fellow firemen. I don't think this is a day that we'll ever forget. No matter how many years go by, it's something that's going to stay with us forever. Mostly because of the thousands of people that perished that day. The thing is that we haven't forgotten them. We remember them every year. They still remain as part of our lives. Unfortunately, the people that committed these awful crimes are no longer here, but I think we learned something from this. And the only problem that I find is that in the beginning when this happened, when 9/11 happened, everybody was upset, everybody's mobilizing and, being patriotic. But then all of a sudden everybody forgets, everybody goes back to their everyday lives and don't do anything until the following year when it's another year to remember this awful day.
Yeah, or unless we all come together if something else would obviously happen. Let's hope it doesn't.
Right.
But thank you for your phone call. I appreciate it very much. And time to take a break here, Andy, on Connect with Me. We're going to be back with our program here on MeTV Fresno, Comcast Channel 187. Where were you 12 years ago on this day when the two towers suddenly came down? They were hit and came down. Call in 436-MeTV option 11.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
I feel the same pain. I don't, that's pain. When you lose a son, it's never go away. I feel the same. I have to come every year here because we don't found him.
Michael A. Aziak.
And my father, an amazing father, Jose Nunez Castillo. Thank you for the amazing memories.
We love you and miss you so much. Your brother, your sister, and you have a niece and a nephew now. God love you and take good care of you, because I know that he's holding you close in the palm of his hand near his heart.
And the most difficult thing is I used to know the number, and maybe it changes all the time, the number of people that are still missing that were never found in the rubble.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing as firefighters, as people who rescue people. We didn't rescue anybody. We couldn't rescue anybody. Then we tried to recover bodies for families to bury, and in a lot of instances we couldn't even do that. We couldn't even recover something for families to put to rest and have closure on it. It's very hard to accept as a firefighter.
Yeah. Did you go through any kind of psychological change as a result of this? Because I think last year you told me when you were here, you actually saw the second plane hit from where you were at.
Yeah.
You saw it vividly. Did it change you psychologically in any way or emotionally?
It changed the way I view things in the world.
How so?
I really don't take anything too serious. Nothing is that drastic anymore. Nothing can compare.
Yeah. Let's take a call here, Andy. Good morning. You're on with Andy Isolano. Your question today.
Yeah. Good morning, John. Morning, Andy. Andy, I got some questions, some statements, some questions. First, kind of a question: what went wrong at that time? And as far as security goes, I mean, I'll give you okay, I figured everybody loves us at that time. And security was laxed. Let everyone come to America. You know, all nationalities still welcome to come. And the only thing is they didn't check background checks on these people that were here. And even in the Bush administration, we had a lot of illegals coming over. And I have a feeling that we didn't do anything about either who they were. They, as I told my wife, they lose their ID card. Oh, we'll mail it back to you. We'll send you another one. You know, they're just lax after lax. And now the NSA is overkill. Where were they? That's my issue. Where were these guys years ago?
Let Andy talk just for a minute.
If I can comment on that. We live in a completely, our pre-9/11 world was a totally different world than we live in today. Pre-9/11, this never happened. This never occurred. I don't know that mistakes were made. I think possibly we were complacent. You know, maybe we never imagined something like this could happen. I know that in the world we live in today, there is the possibility of a commercial airliner could be shot out of the sky because it's not where it's supposed to be. We wouldn't even imagine that pre-9/11.
Yeah.
So is the NSA overkill now? I don't think so. Can you do too much to prevent another 9/11? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and we really don't know the inside about what happened 12 years ago or prior to, because we're not part of the intelligence community. We're not part of the military. We're not staffers in the White House. We weren't close to the president, neither you or I. So we don't really know what happened within the CIA, what kind of documents or intelligence reports that they were receiving at the time. We don't know. We don't know if any of those reports maybe were legit, and if they were, maybe they were ignored. We can speculate, but how do we really know, Andy?
Right, and it would drive you crazy to live like that on a daily basis. If you knew everything potentially that could happen, you would never leave your house. You know.
Yeah, you'd probably hide under a rock someplace.
Absolutely.
And who wants to live like that?
Exactly.
And maybe it's best that we don't know at this point.
In most cases, yes.
You know. So, but anyway, you know, a lot of people calling in and you know, talking about maybe where they were. Where were you? Call in and let us know where you were and what you remember about that morning that you woke up, turned on the TV, or somebody called you. We'll reminisce more here on the show. Connect with me on MeTV Fresno, Comcast Channel 187 in just a moment.
1 Adam 12.
This is Adam 12. It stars Martin Milner as Officer Pete Malloy, Kent McCord as Officer Jim Reed.
1 Adam 12, roger.
This black and white patrol car has an overhead valve V8 engine. It develops 325 horsepower at 4,800 RPMs. It accelerates from 0 to 60 in 7 seconds. It has a top speed of 120 miles an hour. The automobile has 2 shotgun racks, one attached to the bottom portion of the front seat, one in the vehicle trunk.
You want me to drive?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
That's good. We got a lot of phone calls today. Another phone call to take here on Connect with Me. Good morning. Where were you on 9/11? You're on the air.
I was on my way to Fresno City College. I saw the first plane hit. I told the bus driver, I was riding the bus. I told the bus driver, you know, we didn't know it was an attack at that time. I told him about the first plane hitting. By the time I got to Fresno City, the cafeteria, they had, you know, big screen TVs in there, and at that point the second plane had hit. So it was a very, very vivid day at Fresno City College for all the students. No one could believe what was happening, you know. And then we didn't hear about the third plane going down until I got back from school. But yes, it's a very vivid memory, and my prayers and my thoughts go out to the firefighter that you have with you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It's etched in my mind. So yeah.
All right.
And we do think about it. Not just on 9/11. You know, it's changed the whole emotional aspect of the country. You know, everybody thinks about it. So Yeah, but thoughts and prayers go out to the firefighters. And thank you for letting me, speak my piece.
Hey, no problem. Good to get it off your chest. There's no question about it. And I remember where I was, obviously, on 9/11. And, my son was just born like 10 days prior to, and he was just like, just a few days old, lying right between my wife and myself on the bed. Got this phone call at 6:48 in the morning, said, you better turn your TV on. Turned it on, couldn't believe it, and sat there and watched the second plane hit live. And immediately when that second plane hit, I knew it. We were under attack. Did you know that we were under attack at the time?
No, not well until when the second plane hit. That's when we found we were on the roof of my firehouse watching the fire burn from the first.
Now, when
plane
you
crash.
saw that second plane hit, Andy, into the second tower, you watched it with your own eyes.
Yes, absolutely.
In person.
I saw. I said, "Look at that! That's a when."
Did you realize that was a deliberate act at the time, or what went through your mind?
While we were watching, we saw an aircraft. Initially, we couldn't. It didn't dawn on us at the moment that. And my first thought is that like a media plane, something getting close to take some good footage, and then when I saw it, it tilted to and it aimed towards the building. I saw the United Airlines symbol on the tail. I said, "Oh my God, this is another deliberate
attack."
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable. Another call here. Good morning. You're on with Andy. Where were you, and what do you remember about 9/11?
Well, just like you, I was trying to get up, and somebody called me and told me to turn on the TV. And just like you, John, I thought maybe it could have been an accident. I know it happened in World War II. A plane actually veered off a course and slammed into the Empire State Building. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw the footage. And then, like you, I was tuned in when the second plane hit, and then I knew that it was a conspiracy. The reason for my call today, well, happy Patriots Day to you and your staff, and also I wanted to say that yesterday's guest, Dan Payne, great show, and I had a question. Unfortunately, it was a tape show. I couldn't call, so I'm posting you the question today. Do you feel like the country has been vindicated? And I put this to your guest, Andy. Do you feel like the country has been vindicated, that all the foul perpetrators of the 9/11 crime have been brought to justice and or killed, or do you still think that they are perpetrators at large? Thank you.
Okay. I guess he's talking about the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. Have we been vindicated? Have we come to terms with this, or are the people responsible now gone?
I don't know that we could ever really be vindicated. The direct leaders, the people who made the final decisions to take these attacks and if you will, riled up their people to do it, are gone, and it's a good thing that they're gone. But the people and a lot of the reasons why these people believe this way are still there. The hatred is still there.
Yeah.
Exactly. They're extremists. They don't like our way of life. They feel that for years they've been taught that the Americans are evil and what they do is evil. Just take a look.
And they're willing to die for the cause.
Exactly. If you can role reverse, if you were a father raising a family in a country like that where you couldn't even scrounge for food to feed your family, and then somebody comes up to you and look at these people with their 100-inch TVs and their fancy cars, and they're the reason why we have nothing to eat. How do you defend that? How do you, as a father, say, "Oh well, no, they're nice people"? No, you're going to get ill feelings. But then they have these leaders that fortunately have been taken out, and hopefully, maybe if we can get rid of the real radicals, we can.
I want to talk to you more after the break about why you came to Fresno and how your life has changed now, some 12 years later, and we're going to take more of your phone calls too. 436 MeTV option 11 on this day, 12 years ago. The worst, obviously, attack on this country, and hopefully it will be the last. We're back in just a moment.
All right, from the beginning. My name's Friday. I carry a badge. Police officers.
You any idea who the other man was?
My partner's Bill Gannon. You got just one big question. Yeah. When?
Now on MeTV Fresno, Xfinity 187.
And we're back here, 436 MeTV, option 11 on this day, 9/11/2013. Andy, why did you move to Fresno from New York?
Well, I had come out on that initial trip that Pelco had. Never,
in 2001.
In 2001.
Yeah.
Never having been to California, you know, Fresno could have been Fargo to me at that point in my life. And I just, it was the first time after 9/11 that I felt any real good. You know, I landed here and there was, you know, they greeted us with marching bands and medals and signed autographs, and you know, it was a really good feeling for me. And I continued to visit pretty regularly for a couple of years. And
did you help with the rescue? Did you go into Ground Zero personally? And
yes.
And you did. For how long? How many months?
How
many weeks?
For pretty much 2 months straight. I was there when the second tower came down, and with the exception of a couple of days where I left to go get some rest.
How close were you when the Tower 2 went down?
Close enough to have to take cover from the debris. You couldn't tell because the first tower had come down, so there was nothing recognizable at that point.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, off the top of my head, is part of the reason that you went through this psychological change, emotional change, you just had to get away from New York?
Absolutely.
You had to get away so you can. Not that you're ever going to forget it, but let me just get out of this place. I have to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, there was no one to turn to in New York. Not that they weren't compassionate about, but everybody in New York was going through it in one form or another. Either they were directly involved or they knew someone who was involved, and I needed to get away from that. I needed to change. You know, the job I loved was gone, and you know, the friends were gone, and I needed to move away. And basically, when I moved,
glad you did?
I'm very glad I did. Yes.
You're happy now?
Yes, very happy. Yeah.
Are you going through any kind of emotional thing or psychological thing, just with the flashbacks, or no?
I did for a while. I did for a while. The flashbacks got better. I used to have a dream about my friend Kevin. We had down while we were at Ground Zero digging, they had circulated a list of names of guys that hadn't reported into their captains, and there was initially over 2,000 names on that list. And you'd walk around the corner and you'd run into a guy that was on the list, and you'd hug him and you say, "You need to call your firehouse," and they, you know. So I would have these dreams about running into Kevin.
Before we run out of time, is there any guilt on your part because others from your company maybe were killed and you're left behind here? Any guilt at all?
Yeah, I mean, there was for a long time, and I think living here has allowed me to be the representative of those. It makes me feel like that's why I'm still here, to represent the guys we lost and to continue to talk about it and to not let people forget.
Andy, if you feel comfortable enough and feel okay enough, you're welcome back here again next year to talk about it. It's almost like therapy coming out here. I love talking about this stuff, and you know, I really appreciate your time, and gosh, we consider you a friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Andy, good to see you, and stay well, will you?
Thank you. I will do my best.
Okay, good to see you. Thank you, and have a pleasant day. All right, Andy Isolano, former New York City firefighter, and glad to have him in our neck of the woods here in Clovis now. He's part of our Fresno Central Valley family. That's going to do it for us on 9/11/2013. We're back with another edition tomorrow on MeTV Fresno.